Hello teachers and educators. Welcome to this video on brain-based teaching. Pedagogy first, content and technology next. When it comes to teaching, the overall teaching framework is based on two theoretical edifices, Freudianism and Behaviorism, plus widely used taxonomy from Benjamin Bloom. Unfortunately, none of these work anymore. Teachers and educators are increasingly finding it challenging to engage students in the new age classrooms. So in our study to mitigate this problem, we got to explore important understandings and concepts about the brain and the educational neuroscience. We could identify some of the most widely accepted neuromyths within the teaching community and debunk false theories that ruled for decades. Welcome to brain-based teaching. Brain-based teaching is often considered complex and challenging for most teachers to understand conceptually. But we make it simple through our pedagogy called 3SME, created by our team of researchers at PeopleTree. 3SME helps teachers with basic educational neuroscience in the context of building a scaffolded teaching approaches with a step-by-step no-skip approach that creates those neural circuits and increases understanding of the subject safely and securely. So before we get there to understand how 3SME was created, let me walk you through a neuromedical case that goes into the annals of medical neurosciences as one of the important cases that gives us impetus to understanding what learning and memory is all about. Henry Gustav Molaison, also known as patient HM. He was born in February 1926 in Manchester, Connecticut, USA. Henry, at the age of 7, experienced intractable epilepsy that is sometimes attributed to his bicycle accident. He had minor seizures for many years and then a major or a tonic-clonic seizures around the age of 16. Though he worked for a long time on an assembly line, by the age of 27, he had become so incapacitated by his seizures that despite giving him high doses of anticonvulsant medications, he could not work or lead a normal life. So he goes to doctor, and on the doctor's advice, Henry agrees to undergo a surgical interventions to get relief from his seizures. A well-known lobotomist, William Scoville, then performs the surgery on patient HM and has a thumb-sized section removed from both the sides of Henry's brain. Majority of the medial temporal lobe was removed, including those hippocampus, amygdala, and adrenal cortex. The surgery was partially successful, though it did alleviate some of Henry's seizures, but they left him unable to form the new memories, while all his old memories and other important functions like perception and intellect were all preserved intact. We now have evidence from the latest neuroscience research to exactly map the structure onto the function and say this particular part of the brain is responsible for this function. So based on the neuroscience researchers and the evidences from medical cases like these, 3S pedagogy was created, which aims to provoke the desire to learn and ignite the moments of insights in the new age classrooms. 3S stands for safety, satisfaction, and synapse, which is connected to the different structures of the brain, which is based on the evolution of the brain through millions and millions of years. So if I had to explain this better, we could imagine our brain being built like a house from the bottom up on 3 floors. On the bottom of the floor of the house is the brainstem. Okay, the brainstem loosely associated with the reptilian stage of evolution that is always looking for safety. Now, what it means is the first thing a teacher should attempt in the classroom is to make every student feel safe. If the students do not feel safe sitting in the classroom, they won't further engage in the learning process. First thing, safety. Next, right there sitting on top of the brainstem sits the subcortical regions loosely associated with the mammalian stage of evolution that is always looking for satisfaction. Regions like amygdala, hippocampus, hypothalamus, basal ganglia are all located over here. So if the students are there in this region, then there is every possibility of effective learning that happens. And then on top of that, we have cortex associated with primate or especially the human stage of evolution. It's also called as the human brain or the thinking brain. If the students are there in this region, then they are there in the metacognitive zone of learning. Therefore, they are thinking about their own thinking, and in other words, 100% learning happens over here. So, well, these three stages of evolution of the brain are alive and intact inside us even today. So, we have this brainstem part of us to which always tends to be reactive and quick, and also involves the fundamental survival needs like making sure that the heart is beating, we are able to swallow the food, dilation of pupils, blood vessels, and all those important functions are being taken care of over here. And on top of that, we have the subcortical region, which, as I said, were associated with mammalian stage of evolution. They are involved with emotions and aspects of motivation, which are essential part in the teaching and learning process. And then we have, of course, the cortex sitting on top of all of that, which has roughly tripled in the volume in the last several millions of years since our ancestors first began to use the stone tools. So we need all parts of the brain working together, working in tandem, and each part of this brain has its own strengths and weakness. And as a teacher, the wisdom is to be mindful of operation of all of them with the quality of safety and friendliness towards your students, and help them navigate in those three floors of learning safely and securely. And as a teacher, you can be mindful of your own teaching approaches, of course, toward these different aspects of yourselves. If you want to learn more about the brain-based teaching and the new age pedagogy and to use it in your classroom for more engaging experiences and transform your teaching, please feel free to call us and we can handhold you and work with you together to adopt 3S pedagogy. So see you all soon in your institutions, in your schools, and of course, online we are available.